Hey guys, TRScientist here, and today I am back for r/ProRevenge day number 12. Where today I have 3 stories lined up, one of which is referring back to another story from episode, day number 2 of ProRevenge. So let's get into these stories. We'll start off with the HOA one. HOA board tries to force me to remove a trampoline. I get them removed from the board instead. I put a trampoline in my backyard in early 2017. I have 3 young boys and we have enjoyed it immensely. My neighbour, the HOA president at the time, went to sell his house in spring of 2018 and his realtor said the trampoline in my backyard might be a detriment to getting top dollar for his home. So he convinced the neighbour on the other side of my house to complain as well. Out of the blue, I received a message from the HOA property manager that the neighbours complained and I would need to submit a form to get it approved. Intermission. What's sad is that I was friendly with both of these people. They had been in my home. They could have talked to me face to face. With one of the neighbours, I paid for a shed fence at her request, since her neighbour on her other side wouldn't contribute to their shed fence, another board member and a human piece of garbage. I would have been willing to dig a hole for the trampoline to hide it more, or purchase a new one with elastic bands rather than springs to make it quieter. Both of those options are cheaper than getting a lawyer, but nobody asked. Nobody came to me to have a face-to-face, heart-to-heart discussion about their concerns. A few ironies. These are 5-bedroom homes. Clearly people with kids are going to move in and they're going to be noisy in their backyard with or without play equipment. The guy who sold his home smoked like a chimney. I don't think my trampoline should have been his top concern. The people who ended up buying his home are a great family with 2 kids who don't care about toys in other people's backyards. My neighbours have raised kids to adulthood, one of them 2 very active boys. When I pointed this out to her, the words that actually came out of her mouth were, "I know it's challenging to raise boys, but we're at different stages of our lives." As if that justified her trying to screw me. Back to the story. I filled out the form and sent it in. The Architectural Review Committee denied it a month later. I appealed the decision and met with the board in August. They sent me a letter and said it was in violation. I asked which rules I violated. They never sent me a letter, so I asked again a week ago. The property manager was adamant she had sent the letter, but I asked for proof. She forwarded an email where she put my name in the to field after the fact. I had a strong suspicion it was after the fact due to the following reasons. And a HOA meeting was mentioned that never took place. The responses to my questions varied in colour, indicating they had been edited at different times. She responded immediately to my request for proof by indicating she would forward the email, but then took an hour, presumably editing a draft she never sent. She cited a rule early in the email, but then cited an additional rule later that superseded the first. The first cited rule could have simply been omitted. The message was not marked as forward messaged at the top, and the send time didn't include seconds. None of these things are a smoking gun, but they are suspicious. I asked the other people in the to field if they received a copy of the email with my name in the address field. The only honest member of the board replied he hadn't. The rest remained silent because they didn't want to look like they and the property manager dropped the ball. Intermission. If you're curious why the board didn't like my trampoline, here is the rationale provided in the letter that was never sent. Due to the close proximity of the homes to each other and the small yards, the trampoline is unsightly to the homes surrounding it. Realtors for those homes surrounding you have said that it is a detraction to selling homes and is lowering the home values of those around it. There have also been neighbour complaints regarding the noise level, which creates those homeowners to be unable to enjoy their homes. They are also unable to use certain portions of their homes while a trampoline is being used. All my kids weigh under 35 pounds. They go to bed at 7 p.m. and don't jump on the trampoline in the morning before 10 a.m. My neighbours bought homes 10 feet away from me, from mine. What did they expect? Back to the story. The year-end meeting was scheduled for yesterday, and 4 board positions were up for election. I got 3 of my friends on the street to run with me. I went door to door every day for a week and spoke with the majority of homeowners about their discontent with the street. I got a third of the community to sign proxy forms saying that I would vote on their behalf. I went to the meeting last night and put those fools on blast. I listened calmly all the ways the current board was failing the community and my plan to right their wrongs. The vote was a landslide in favour of myself and my friends getting elected. One awful board member remains, but he is the minority. We fired the property manager, who was uncommunicative and flat out dishonest. The trampoline endures. The only bummer is now I have to manage a street, which includes some legit crazy people. But this whole episode has convinced my wife that we will never live in a HOA again, which I count as a huge victory in addition to the trampoline remaining where it is today. That's the thing with running a HOA. I don't have that much experience, but it would be a pain in the butt to try and run them, right? I don't have any reason to talk about this. I don't even own a house. But yeah, it's just not that bright, isn't it? Like, running it, yeah, you're gonna have some crazy people, but I feel like you should do fine with that. Like, as soon as they start to go that little bit, you see them going that little bit nuts, so I'd be like, hey, I want this way. Turn around and just be like, not because of so-and-so rule, and then just walk away. And if they grab you, honestly, at that point, I would not care anymore. It's just like, I'll just death stare them. I'll pull a Luigi death stare. Just like, let go of me. Oh. Students pranked me. I had the last laugh. I spent about 10 years teaching high school humanities at a small private school. For my first 2 years, I didn't have a classroom, just a small office. I would bring what I needed for each class on a cart and go from room to room, depending on which teacher had a prep at any given time. This was incredibly inconvenient, and not being the most organised of teachers to begin with, made things difficult to keep track of. There were a group of 11th grade boys who decided to make things a little more difficult for me. They were good kids. We got along well. I coached several of them on the school soccer team, but they decided that since my office would often be empty, it was a great place to prank. It was never anything too serious. Things falling over when I opened the door, or things disappearing for a day and then turning up in a different place the next day. Nothing was ever damaged, and I could never prove who it was, even though I knew. My school had mandatory final exams in each academic course. I didn't think they were necessary, so I would generally make them pretty easy with a lot of preparation. I would give out study sheets and play review games for a couple of weeks before the test, and there was no reason the students wouldn't do well on them. I had approval of admin to do this, as they weren't particularly fond of the final exam rule either. It was a school board policy. A few nights before the offending boys had their exam, I had a brainwave. I created a second exam. Gone were the multiple choice questions and obvious things from the review sheets. In their place came detailed questions about concepts that were briefly mentioned in class. Essay question after essay question. Ambiguous questions with no clear answers. Definitions of words that there was no way they knew. It took a couple of hours, but I laughed the whole time. When the test came, I had the special exams at the bottom of the pile and handed them out to each of the 4 or 5 boys. I told my vice principal what was happening, and he insisted on being present. I started the timer and watched as the boys flipped over their papers. It was all I could do to keep I did what I could do to keep a straight face. Eyes went wide, heads were shaking, panic was setting in, especially as they saw all their classmates flying through their exams. One of the boys raised their hands. Sorry, no questions during the final. You should be prepared based on your study sheets. I let them go for about 5 or 10 minutes of terror before I gathered the fake tests and gave them the real ones. They all passed with flying colours and never broke my office again. It was glorious. Oh, yes. The fake exam prank. Oh, my shoulder. Oh, that would be scary. You just look at the test and it's like, I don't know the answers to any of these. And everyone's just flying through the test and it's just like, why? How do you guys know these answers? Okay. Last story. AT&T tried to screw me over $139. I actually screwed them out of $72,000. Skip. Okay. After my wife and I got married last year, we decided that we should both get on the same phone plan. We went down to the AT&T store and met with a rep who told us we'd both be on an unlimited plan for $70 a month, all in, including taxes and fees. I was very specific about getting the all-in price for the service. It seemed like a decent deal, so we signed up. 2 days later, I log into the website to see that there's already a bill for $139. I call up the rep to see what's up, and they tell me that between the activation fees, taxes, and surcharges, the bill was correct. I tell them what the salesperson told me, and they basically told me to pound sand. I promptly told them I wanted to cancel the service and wanted the $139 waived. They said they could cancel the service, but would not waive the bill. They also told me if I cancelled immediately, my wife and I would lose our phone numbers, which is true. So I figure since I already have to pay for the month and I don't want to lose my phone number, I'll just get a new carrier and cancel when I'm ready. So I do my research and find Visible, which is excellent. And we make the switch. I call back to AT&T and inform them that we have switched carriers and want to cancel the service. I again ask for a refund. The rep informs me that since I have had the service for 4 days, that I am not entitled to a refund. He tells me to read the fine print on the contract, which indeed tells me that I have 3 days to cancel for a full refund. Now I'm fuming because the first CSR that I talked to on day 2 denied me a refund if I cancelled. Now I asked for the next level of CSR and they sent me to a customer care and retention person. I explained the entire fiasco to him and how I feel that I've been lied to twice by AT&T sales rep and first CR. He's a really cool guy and apologizes and says he'll take care of it and will completely waive the bill. I'm very thankful and hang up thinking that this is finally resolved. Fast forward a month and I get an AT&T bill saying my payment was not received and is now late. I again pick up the phone and call AT&T. I eventually make my way through 2 CSR reps until I get back to the customer care and retention department. This time I did not have the chill dude. Instead I got a very smarmy woman who said that the bill was due and I owed the entire amount. I asked her to please check the CSR notes and that the last guy told me he would waive the amount. She put me on a 10-minute silent hold and came back and said she'd escalate the matter to her supervisor. She said I should receive an email by the end of the week with a resolution. 2 weeks go by, no response. I call again. This time I get a very nice lady that is sympathetic. She says she'll waive the bill. She comes back and tells me that she can't do anything because the bill has already been sent to collections. She said not to worry and that she'll send a letter to collections to have them waive the debt. I ask if this will go on my credit report and she says no and that they'll take care of it. 6 months later, I get a letter in the mail from Sequium Asset Solutions out of Georgia trying to collect on the $139. I immediately send them a letter via certified mail demanding that they verify the debt, which it's obviously bad. I hear nothing for 2 months, and then I get an alert that I have negative mark on my credit. I go in and sure enough, Sequium has indicated that the amount is in collections. I immediately write letters to all 3 bureaus requesting that they remove the remark. A month goes by and every single one of the bureaus removes the mark, thank God. Another 3 months go by and then I get a letter from Sunrise Credit Services in New York, again trying to collect on the debt. This is truly unbelievable because it appears that Sequium couldn't verify it, so instead of apologizing and waiving the debt, they just sold it off to another collection agency. I sent another certified letter to Sunrise demanding verification. I get nothing in reply. So far, they have not attempted to put any remark on my credit. That's where this part of the story ends. Who knows what will happen next? I could file a lawsuit, but the billing fee alone would be more than the amount owed. Here's the thing, I am not cash strapped. I am blessed enough that I could easily pay the $139 without making a dent in my budget. I have lost 5 times that amount in hours spent on the phone and writing letters. But I am determined to go to the mat with AT&T on principle alone. This brings us to the revenge stage. You see, in addition to my day job as an attorney, I am an elected city councilman in my town, and when I was going over monthly expenses, I know that we were paying AT&T close to $6,000 a month for our phones, internet, and TV services. We're a fairly small town, so it was pretty obvious that we were being bent over by these clowns and that we could save a ton of money by switching. I started working with a city manager and IT director on finding other solutions. We discovered that by switching to various carriers and providers, that we could save half. I never would have looked that closely into our telecom expense had AT&T not joked me around. 2 weeks ago, the resolution to switch was put on our meeting agenda, and the council voted to pass it. We decided to completely cut ties with AT&T. Our city is saving a ton of money, getting better service, and with the money we saved from switching, we were able to hire another part-time animal shelter employee, which we desperately needed. I highly doubt our city would have considered switching if I didn't make such a stink about it. AT&T will end up losing hundreds of thousands over the coming years because of this. I hope it was worth it, AT&T. TLDR, AT&T lied to me 3 times, put false marks on my credit, and made me spend countless hours on the phone and sending letters to fix it. I am a city councilman and found that we could save 50% by switching all of our services from AT&T, which saved our city thousands and cost AT&T a $72,000 a year contract. Ultra late hidden edit. We just went into budget session and it turns out we actually saved $108,000 per year. Lol. That is actually really good. That is one way to get one over on a company that's just like you need to pay us. Like, all they had to do was just waive the fee and let them go, and they wouldn't have lost $72,000 a year, which is, how do you let that happen? Anyways, links will be in the description to my main channel and also the second channel, which you're on right now, with links to the playlist and the last episode. Go check them out. Also, I might put in the description a link to episode number 2 of ProRevenge, so you can see where the first HOA story came from. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, a ding. I'm the Mad Scientist,